What's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at the Vitilan U7, which is a folding fat tire e-bike. Taking a look at the specs, this bike has a 750 watt motor, a 48 volt 16 amp hour battery, 20 by 4 inch CST fat tires, 180 millimeter hydraulic brakes, a front fork suspension along with the seat post suspension, a Shimano 7-speed shifter, and weighs 70 pounds. So unboxing the bike, this was by far the easiest assembly I ever had to do, as the bike came almost 100% assembled. All you had to do was slide on the seat and the handlebars, then install the pedals and the front rack. It honestly took me longer just to remove the packing materials and zip ties than it did to build the actual bike. The model I have here comes with both a front basket and a rear basket, which makes this bike a lot more convenient and closer to a cargo bike. You can hold 29 pounds in the front and 55 pounds in the back, so you have a total of 84 pounds you can carry on this bike. Taking a look at the bike itself, this is definitely a lot different from most other e-bikes I've reviewed so far. It's a very minimal and clean design, and I love the extra style added from the mag wheels. Not only that, but these are a lot easier to manage compared to spoke wheels, as you don't have to worry about broken spokes or your wheel going out of true. At first, I was confused how you take out the battery, as the seat looks like it will be in the way, but this bike has a very unique feature where the seat actually folds up as well to give you easy access to remove or insert the battery. Most batteries are large and clunky to carry around, but with this bike, it is much easier thanks to the nice carrying handle that is built into the battery. This also makes it very easy to insert or remove the battery from the bike as well. Coming to the bars, this bike has the largest screen I have seen on an e-bike so far. As you can see here, the numbers are huge and extremely easy to read. This is also a color screen, which has great brightness and contrast as well. Just like the screen, the controller also has nice and large buttons, which are all nicely labeled. Often on most of these e-bikes, you just have to hold down different buttons, and unless you look at the manual, you won't really know what does what. But this one has everything nice and labeled. There's even a little foot on the minus button, so you know if you hold this down. It also activates walk mode as well. Also on the bars, we have a switch for our built-in turn signals, as well as a button for the electronic horn. Lastly, this bike does include both an integrated front headlight as well as a rear tail light, which not only lights up when you brake, but also has built-in turn signals as well. As I said earlier, this is a folding e-bike, and to fold it down, you simply unlock the latch here at the bars, and then those will fold down. Then there's another latch you release in the center, and this will let the bike fold in half. I don't have a large vehicle or a bike rack, but thanks to this bike folding into a nice and compact size, I can easily fit it into the back of my wife's small SUV. All right, so these are definitely tall bars like other bikes I've reviewed, where the stem goes all the way up, and it kind of makes you feel like you're on a cruiser bike. Definitely a little weird to get used to at first, but once you ride it for a few miles, it's definitely easy to use. And it's a pretty comfortable riding position. With this bike, the strange part about it that I'm not used to is there's a front basket. Let me turn my camera down, hopefully you can see it. Mounted over here on top of the wheel. But I'm kind of used to the basket to be attached to the turning bars, and this is on the frame. So you can see when I turn the bars, the basket just stays still, and I mean, it's not a problem, but it's just kind of trippy to look at. I'm sure if I rode this bike for a while, I get used to it. Right now, turning and seeing the basket not move, it's a little weird. Yeah, so as I said earlier, a nice little horn on this bike. You got your turn signals, which are only in the back, but that's fine. Then you got your nice large buttons here, and like I said earlier, this is a huge screen. You can see from looking at this, these numbers are huge. So if you're someone that's old or just has bad vision, this would be the perfect bike for you, because you won't have no problem seeing that screen. All right, so I don't know if this is something I can play with in the settings, but there's a slight delay when I turn the throttle. At first I thought it wasn't working, but it just takes a little while. On top of that, this is also one of those bikes where the throttle is attached to the pedal assist level you're on. So right now, if I switch it down to pedal assist 1, and I hit the throttle, it's only gonna let me get 8 miles per hour. Switch up to number 2. Goes up to about 10.6 miles per hour. Then if you just hold down the throttle while you're riding, so right now it's on pedal assist 2, which maxes out at 10 point something. Just keep holding it. you'll see that little icon pop up right there, and that's your cruise control. So very cool, very easy to cruise on. Typically, I don't like having the throttle locked to the pedal assist levels, but I think when a bike has cruise control, that does work out pretty well because you don't have to kind of maneuver it and try to get in the right spot. You could just put it on what pedal assist you want, turn it all the way, it'll max out at that pedal assist speed, hold it there, and then you'll start cruising at that speed. So pretty cool, works very well. Personally, I like thumb throttles more. They're just more easier to use, more relaxing to use, but when a bike has cruise control like this, I definitely don't mind the twist throttle as well. Yeah, so it's like a half-second delay on the throttle. I mean, probably in the settings, there's probably like a slow start setting or something like that. But if I let it go, I'll turn it now, then it kicks in. Kicked in, kicked in. So yeah, it's about half a second roughly. So for me, I don't like that, but as a feature on its own, it's definitely a great thing to have because some of these bikes are really torquey and you just twist that throttle and it throws you into the wall. But this one, you could just twist it accidentally and not have to worry about anything because you do get a half a second until that kicks in. So again, if you're an old person or just someone that doesn't like speed, this might be a great bike for you. Pretty sure you can tune this to your likings in the settings. I was looking at the settings a while ago and I did unlock the speed, but it's kind of one of those settings where it says P1, P2, P3, and you don't really know what does what. But once I look at the manual, I'm sure there's probably a way to make this work immediately instead of having that slight delay. All right, so let me go ahead and try this out on pedal assist 3. Now we're getting a lot of torque. So pedal assist 3, 15 miles per hour. Well, I'm using throttle only. Let's go ahead and try this with pedaling. Way too low of a gear. Had absolutely zero friction. Now I'm on number 7. You probably can hear that in the camera, but there's little clinks and clanks coming from the chain. And that's because most likely the derailleur didn't come adjusted from out of the box. So once I adjust that, that'll go away and turn completely quiet. It's a real simple process. It's literally just a little dial at the back of the derailleur cable, and you just turn that slightly, spin the chain, turn it slightly a little more, and eventually it ends up on the sweet spot. So if you're someone that does end up getting a bike that doesn't shift properly or is making noise like mine is right now, just look up on YouTube how to adjust your derailleur. It's a very, very simple fix. All right, gear number 6 seems to be pedaling just fine and very quiet, so I'll just leave it there. So yeah, pedal assist 3 looks like it's locked at 15.3. Right now it seems like the throttle speed and the top pedal assist speed are locked at the same value. So pedal assist 4. Very torquey bike. Lots of torque right from the jump. Says we're getting 21 miles per hour. All right, let's try that one more time now that we got a longer stretch. Pedal assist 4. $20 miles per hour. Doesn't quite feel like a full 20, so it might be around 18 or somewhere like that. Usually 20 feels a little faster, so this odometer might be a little off, but we'll just go by what the screen is saying. So pedal assist 4, 20 miles per hour. All right, pedal assist 5. Again, nice and torquey. Pedal assist 5, 25 miles per hour. And like I said, this bike has a lot of torque. I could from full stop. You could just hear that motor rev up and it just lunges you forward. Let's go ahead and test out these brakes. Definitely nice and grabby. These are hydraulic brakes as well. All right, let's go one more time with the brakes. 17 miles per hour. Very good, very good. As you can hear, dragged my rear tire easily. These are not as touchy as other hydraulic brakes either. Some of these hydraulic brakes, they tune them where there's so little movement in the bars, so when you barely tap it, you get that full lock-in of the brake. So this one, you have a lot of giveaway and levers as well, which lets you easily manipulate the brakes. You can do a nice and smooth stop. Between the two, I definitely prefer ones like this that have more give in the brake handles versus the ones where you barely tap it and it stops you right away. Because I'm in quite a few e-bike groups, and I remember there was this one guy who kept complaining about his hydraulic brakes, that every time he'll tap it, it'll stop him right away. And I don't know if he was just old or he didn't have good enough reaction time, but he posted a picture of him that he flew off the front of his bars, and apparently tapping like 2 more times before that. So, and he kept saying, oh, it's the hydraulics brakes. The hydraulic brakes are too grabby. It's their fault. But I mean, that's just how most hydraulic brakes are. But in his case, he might have been better with a brake setup like this. But hydraulics braking too quickly is not the fault of the e-bike, that's for sure. So even with my bikes that we got to touch it and it stops easily, you know that from the first time testing it. So when you stop, you just gotta slightly grab onto it. I mean, some cars brake really easily too. You can't blame the car. But this one you definitely have a lot of room to play with. So if you are someone that doesn't like touchy brakes, this would be a good bike for you. Yeah, overall, this is a nice little bike with a big basket in the back, small basket in the front. If you're someone that likes to ride around with your dog, you can just put your dog in the front or in the back, go get some groceries. So this is pretty much like a cargo bike. Only thing I don't like about cargo bikes is they're pretty long bikes. So for me personally, it makes it hard to store them, where to place them. But with this, you don't have a huge bike, but you also get similar benefits of a cargo bike as well. This bike has a 15 amp hour battery, so you should be able to get pretty good range. My first e-bike I ever had was a 14.4 amp hour battery. And with that one, I was easily able to get about 40 miles of casual pedaling, and then about 25-ish if I was riding faster, more in that 15 to 18 miles per hour range. And honestly, that's a pretty good amount for most bikes. I had that bike, that was my first e-bike. I rode that for about 2 years, put a few thousand miles on it, and I still use it all the time. And honestly, I'm happy with that battery. For most casual riding, that 15 amp hour is a very good medium spot to be at. Yeah, overall, this is a pretty solid bike. It might not be for everyone because of the different features that it has, but that's okay. Not every bike is made to meet everyone's needs, but I think this bike in the category that it fits in is definitely a solid option. So if you're looking for a nice folding bike that has good cargo space as well, nice and compact when you want to put it away, definitely a good bike to look at. All right, well, that about wraps up this video. As usual, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop me a comment. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.